I've been thinking about this lately, and there's like the concept that people call NPCs when they talk about like other people on the internet right now. And I think there's like, I have some thoughts about it. So, for example, for some reason, this is seen as like derogatory to begin with. I don't know why that is the case. Like, the term NPC originally comes from video games. And if you play a video game and you interact with an NPC, he gives you a quest or is like a shop owner, so you talk to the shop owner when you need to buy items, and you just basically like interact with them and do your thing, and you get their items, and then you go, right? Usually you don't really think of them in a contemptuous way, so I don't know why it extends to like the real world where people think about NPCs as a contemptuous thing. Basically, if you think about it from like a different perspective, you have people that have different cognitive loads from doing different things. And when you interact with them, that might be like the one chance you have to interact with them. And they might not be at like their full present capacity cognitively. So think about it this way. If your job is to stack boxes, your job is to like fill spreadsheets, and then you've been spending like hours doing that. Let's say you spend like 8 hours doing that, then you want to just like go home, but you need to go to the store before you go home because you remember that you're out of milk. Okay, so let me just go buy some milk. And then on the way there, you interact with them and you ask them, what do you think about the self? What do you think about the concept of relativity? They'll just tell you like some really just normal and expected answer that is socially accepted because they are just trying to get through their day and go home. So they're not necessarily like fully activated in a way that requires them to be aware or be thinking about these things. It's kind of like when somebody asks you quick maths. Like if you're in a math class, for example, and somebody asks you like to do multiplication, you're already thinking about it. But then if somebody asks you real quick to multiply a number in the middle of like a conversation, it's gonna take you a second because you gotta like switch tasks basically for it, like to respond, because it's kind of like it's basically like a jump scare. So they're not really like dumber for this, or they're not really any lesser for this. They're just thinking about like other things. They're enjoying the moment, going for some milk while they're depleted. So I don't think it's really fair that people call NPCs like lesser beings or something. It's just like, just people running their lives. Sometimes they have more stuff going on, sometimes they have less stuff. Sometimes they just go for a walk to clear their brain. You never know when you're gonna find people. That person might be smarter than you, and you just like are not gonna know. It might be like the smartest person you've ever met, but even the smartest people you ever meet are gonna be depleted at some point. That happens to all of us when we're stacking boxes for 8 hours for 5 days a week, and we just want to get some milk. But yeah, I think that's where the NPC idea comes from. But I think there's also like a way that it can kind of like influence people as well. Think about it this way. The way that people learn things when they're babies is by watching what their parents do and imitating them. So let's say that you are in this low cognitive state where you're not paying much attention to what you're doing or what you're consuming or what you're watching. Let's say you watch like a bunch of, okay, let's slow down actually. You know how when you have friends you start to like do the same thing that they do in some ways. So like for example, when I moved in, one thing that I've been doing since I was like 15 is like whenever something like doesn't go my way, or I'm just like it's just like an expression for me, I just say man. It's just like a thing I've been saying. So when my roommate moved in, he didn't used to say that, but now it's been some times. I think like his first few weeks with me, he started saying man, and now he just says like things the same way that I do as well. I think that's normal. You like pick up on things like that. Um, it's just like what happens when you start hanging up with people. I probably also picked up things that he says. But basically, what I'm trying to say is that there are times that just by existing and observing, we kind of like pick up things from other people. So think about it this way. This idea I'm borrowing from a YouTube video I saw. But let's say you're exposed to streamers constantly or influencers or a specific think bubble in like social media. So once you start seeing people too often, you start copying their mannerisms and other things. So, for example, you're gonna see people like the Gen Alpha people that are watching these streamers while growing up. They're gonna start doing like similar things to what the streamers do. This just happens to like all of us. It's not just kids. You just start watching content and you start acting like the people from the content you watch. You have to, you're more susceptible to this if you're in a less activated state cognitively or less aware, or let's just say plainly, you're an NPC. And the NPC is being programmed by the content that they're watching. So that's one of the things they're more susceptible to. And the thing is, everybody can be an NPC at different times, like I explained. So it's not an insult. I'm just gonna keep using the word, but for me, NPC is not like an insult. Just take it like that. So also think about it this way: society is built for people with like different roles. So NPCs are not necessarily bad. If you think of society, let's say you have architects and you have builders. Just because you have architects that design the house doesn't mean the builder is less important, who's the person that actually builds it. So, what happens when you have an overabundance of architects? That means not all architects get to design houses. That means not all architects get to use their full mental capacity. So, this is like a thing that people have to be aware of. NPCs, they're actually the people that push society forward, even in consumption. So basically, I think sometimes people act like, oh, being an NPC is like this bad thing. No, man, it's just like you have like different society is built for different people. You need the CEO as much as you need the guy that's like filling Excel cells. They're both important. So I think the cost of staying aware for too long is that if this happens for a long time, you start to feel less peace and less calm and are able to enjoy life less. So one example that comes to mind when I think about this is think of it as being like cognitively activated at all times. So I remember I watched this Musk interview one time. Or it wasn't an interview, it was like a clip that I watched. And somebody asked him like, how would you define your mind? And he said, I would define it as like a stormy sea. And then they asked him, is it a happy place? And he said, no, I don't think so. Just think about it. Like, not everybody has the ability to switch in and out of the states. Some people, just because like people are different, there are some people that are never able to enter the states, and there are people that are never able to leave the states of higher and lower cognition. So it doesn't really make any of them superior or inferior to the other. Just think about it that way. Like, there are some real benefits to being able to shift states depending on the task. Imagine how mentally taxing it would be to every time you're filling an Excel sheet, you're fully aware at the time. Every time you're cleaning your house, you're fully aware of everything, and you're thinking about taxes, and you're thinking about your relationship with your friends, and you think about that family member you didn't call like months ago. So those are thoughts that come and leave, but there are times when we just have none of these thoughts, and that's okay. I think it can be both a gift and a burden. So it's important to think of like these things in that way. There's like, even though society is not built for them, these people are generally welcome. The people that are less NPC like, basically, the world might not be built for them, but they find ways to build a space for themselves in the world. So, examples that come to mind are people that like have challenged the status quo. So, people like, for example, the Buddha comes to mind, or like Nietzsche, Gandhi, or even Musk or Julius Caesar. So just like people that have known like OG way to do things, and they've been like, nah, that doesn't work. Let me change it. Oh, Tesla, for example, Nikola Tesla. So just people that, they have seen like the way that the world is. They don't really feel like in conformity or anything, but because they are constantly thinking, they come with like, oh, this thing that we do, it can be done better. So how can I make it better? And their mind just stays activated in that until eventually they dedicate their lives to make something better. And that's how like society evolves. So yeah, I mean, I think it can be both really good and really bad to be some of these people. It just depends on like how far you take it and whether or not you allow your brain to take breaks. I think one of the things that I was talking to my girlfriend about it before I posted this video, and she mentioned something about like the Gen Z stare, and I was like, "What's that?" And then she explained it, and I think that's something that we see because people are like understimulated in their jobs because now a lot of people carry a lot of cognitive load at all times. So let's say for example, if somebody works at retail, then you ask them a question, they're gonna respond because it's their job. So if you ask something and they perceive that question to be dumb, then they're kind of like stunned for a second. So that's why they have like this Gen Z stare, and I think that really just comes from like the fact that they're understimulated but have to perform a role. So I think that's kind of something that's happening because a lot of the jobs, there's not enough automation to replace some jobs, and there's not enough activation for some people to perform these jobs. So that's neither like a good or bad thing, but it's just something that is a result of this, in my opinion. Also, just something to mention because I'm not sure if I said it or not, but I got a new mic. So if previous videos sound different, this is what it's gonna be sounding like from now on. Just so you know, maybe a little bit of tweaking here and there, but yeah, just know that this is generally the idea that I'm planning for new videos. But yeah, I hope you liked it. See ya.